Welcome back to the GSL Code A, everybody. Today we've got another sick lineup of players. Two groups today. One a little bit more linear. Today we're going group C and D. We're not jumping to G or F or H or anything like that.
No more Great Britain Day, GB.
Yeah, that was basically what we had yesterday. Today we've got some cool teamless players coming into our first group. We've got pretty thin Terran lineup, but that's just kind of the way of things in the current Korean esports scene.
Well, if you think about it, if we're having less turns now, we'll probably have more a little bit later. I know, it's not really the way things mix up because we don't have many in Code A, but, still, if we don't have many now.
Well, I mean, maybe some will drop out of Code S.
Yeah, it's possible.
Code A next season, maybe some of them will get through to Code S, and also, it's been a lot of balanced discussion going on. David Kim talking about we don't mind buffs, increasing, the radius, also the damage to shields, leaving that alone as well. And, not increasing the radius too much because apparently, 2.0 was a bit too much for the probes.
It's blows up everything.
But I mean, there's a lot of discussion right now going on with Terran, so we might be seeing some buffs. Yesterday we saw some really cool Pros versus Protoss matches that were oftentimes the deciding factors in these groups. So, with the big Protoss lineup we have here, there's going to be a lot of PvP. Pretty much every single group going to be running into some PvPs. And, that's just kind of the way of things with how well Protoss has been doing in Korea. But the PvPs we saw are kind of changing. A lot of aggression and also a lot of crazy mid-game engagements.
Yeah, and a lot of new builds as well. Just very new, weird stuff. And I hope we get to see some of the same stuff today, It's just very exciting to see, people start to break from the norm and change things up. It's always very exciting.
Yeah. DRG dominated yesterday as a big old fan favorite, as well as Avenge did insanely well yesterday. And we can actually look at the Code S distribution currently. 1 Terran player joins 3 Protosses and 4 Zergs. So a pretty heavy Zerg lineup, but look at the Zergs we have. Solki, Su, Solar, and True. Top 4 Zergs in the world possibly right now. By my count, I think that's pretty true. I mean, maybe you could add Roro in there, but...
Yeah, maybe take out Solar, put in Roro, but still, I mean, Solar is really, really high level as well, but just looking at this, it's if you look at Code S itself, it is, the best players in the world, especially in Korea.
Yeah, Maru being the only Terran representative, not a surprise there. And interesting to see that Paralyzed is actually one of the Protosses there. Now, take a look at our matches for today. We're starting things out with Group C. Ragnarok versus D, or Teamless versus Teamless to start things off in a ZVP. And our second ZVP will be between Dark from SKT and Billowy from MVP. Billowy definitely the underdog in this group, I feel. However, he did play really well in the playoffs of Round 2 of Pro League. So, if he can pull that off again, maybe he can take some wins here.
He needs a resurgence, basically. Yeah. He needs to come back and really show some good games. I feel like Dark in this group, pretty secure to get out, I would say. He played very, very well towards his last games, especially in Pro League. So really looking forward to see the way that he plays today.
I feel like all eyes are really on Deer here. He really played insanely well last year, and everyone was saying he might be the best player in the world, but suddenly he just dropped off out of nowhere once he joined Mao's Esports, and then once Mao Sports, in him had their little, breakup. They disbanded, or not disbanded, but he left the team. Ever since he's been teamless, been searching for a team. He hasn't found one that quite suits his needs. And when you're teamless in Korea, it's really hard to practice. It's really hard to compete with some of these other players. The same is true of Ragnarok, though.
Yeah. So. Unless you have a lot of friends, you've made a lot of friends, and you can practice with them all the time on the ladder. It's still not quite the same as being in a team house and practicing with their teammates who are right next to you, who you can discuss with face to face, and maybe write stuff on a whiteboard. You don't really have the same exact tools, but
Yeah, well, I mean, Ragnarok has that actually infrastructure, that relationship. I feel he's got all his TSL buddies. A lot of his TSL buddies have moved on to bigger and better things and different teams, and so then he can then rely on their team's help as well. Ragnarok is actually one of the most well-liked pro gamers that we have in Korea. He's very well respected. A lot of people really think he's got a ton of potential. He's wearing his Gem shirt.
Oh yeah.
You want to
represent.
You want to get him on your team, you got to contact Gem.
That is true.
And the first map here, starting things out on, make him pretty happy, I'd say, on the King Sejong Station.
Yeah, so many Zergs love to pick this map. It's either Overgrowth or King Sejong Station that they love to pick if they go down in that first set. So definitely we'll be happy with that. And if he loses, I wouldn't be surprised to see Overgrowth as a second map.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. And it's good for him that this is the starting map. So even if it goes to game 3 and it's his map pick, he can use Overgrowth.
Yep.
So at least gets 2 Zerg maps pretty much secured for him here. Let's see who's going to take the first game today. Group C. of Season 3 of the 2014 GSL Code A.
Down here in the bottom right in the red, the Zerg player, he is
Ragnarok.
Ragnarok in that red down there.
Yes, he is.
And up to the top in the blue. You do a forge-oriented opening. He is
Deer.
Otherwise known as Poor Deer on Twitter. He feels really sad about being teamless.
Yeah. It's not a good place to be. But, you know, these guys are definitely practicing hard every single day to try to get noticed. I'm sure, you know, even more so than other players that have teams in Code A right now, these players are probably like, I need to make a big impression, try to get into Code S, and try to get people to notice me, try to get a team to pick me up.
Sure, I mean, that's very true. You know, when you're teamless, you have to prove yourself, you have to prove your worth. When you're not teamless, you know, if you lose, it's like, well, I'm still going to play in Pro League. You know, at least I've got a team, I've got a salary to back me up. I'm on a Keswa team. But these two, they don't have that. You know, looking at Turn yesterday, I feel like maybe his nerves come from, I was thinking about this a little bit last night, maybe his nerves yesterday come from the fact that he's one of very few Terrans. You know, the only Terran playing yesterday, wants to prove himself as a good Terran player. There's a lot of stress there to represent his race. And we do see a pull first here on that drone that was waiting to see if he was going to have a forge or not. So the probe's actually going to go in here, and he's not going to block. Meanwhile, this is going to be an annoying drone block.
Did get the health down a little bit, though, with that one probe, so the other ones should be able to zone him out and get the Nexus down pretty fast.
It's kind of funny that the probe checked for the drone down there. That's pretty smart of him to not just blindly go into the main, and then the drone gets that hatch up, so he's still got that block off as well. And a few Lings are coming out. I feel like Deer gets a slightly better edge in this game, only slightly.
Yeah.
And the drone goes home. Not much else to accomplish, and there's the gate, the cannon. It'll take a little while for things to heat up here.
Yeah, pretty standard forge opening. You get the drone scout down. That's kind of a thing that a lot of Zerg players are doing these days. They love to get that drone scout because you have to know if they are going for that cannon, if they are going for that forge, or what kind of opening they're doing, just to be safe, you know? Instead of just like blindly throwing down your hatch, which is a bit risky nowadays because a lot of Protosses are loving to put down that forge first. You know, they get that scout, and if it's a forge, you put down a pool. Safe way to do it.
Yeah, I mean, there was a time in Korea for several years, really, where players were basically taking the Idra approach, you know, go hatch first or go home, no scouts, no safety, just because greed was the only way they thought they could win, and it was doing okay for them for a while. But suddenly, Ross players just started figuring out, you know, I don't need to do a 3-pylon block with bottom ramp to cannon at Zerg. I can actually just do it behind the mineral line. And people got much better at that. With players like SOS really kind of figuring it out on each and every map. And then once that happened, drone scouting has pretty much become a must, because if he didn't drone scout, he might have been cannoned here just because he went forge first, sent that probe across. So it's become the norm now. And here's a Stargate. On this map, we've seen a lot of Oracle openings. This Overlord is not in position to see this just yet, but we'll likely be able to scout it. There's no anti-air units out just yet.
Yeah. Usually if we see Oracle, it's after they have pushed out that Overlord, and they want to make sure that it's hidden for as long as possible. But if not, and it does get scouted, usually they just go for the Phoenix, because there's going to be at least 2 Overlords around your base. You can clean them up, get the good scouting information, you know, possibly do some harass.
Exactly. We have seen on this map occasionally players just go Oracle just to force the spores and then use it to defend their third. And it is going to be an Oracle. It's just going to show it. I think this is the best map to just go Oracle even if your opponent knows it. Like some of the other maps we have, you know, say Overgrowth, it's just not quite as strong. Because the third base is a little bit tougher to take with that. But on this map, it's like if you have an Oracle and a tight wall at your third, you're probably going to be okay.
Yeah. He's not going to be able to get this Overlord with the Sentry.
No.
It's a bit unfortunate, but...
Especially because it was so low earlier from that cannon.
Yeah.
+1 gets started pretty early here. We have seen a few weird timings at Pro League with like 6 gates and a few Oracles going for an attack.
Yeah.
Sometimes
And
even just one Oracle.
Funnily enough, after that Oracle, it doesn't start anything just yet. No Phoenix, no Void Ray even.
Yeah.
Just one Oracle.
Just favoring getting that Nexus up a little bit faster. And Spore's not quite ready here, but with 4 Queens nearby, Ragnarok's going to have no problem warding this off. Only 1 kill on this Oracle. Spore's about to finish. And 2, 3, 4 kills.
Oh, man.
And wow, that last Spore shot there.
Just stayed a little bit too long. Getting a little bit too greedy to get that last drone.
And that actually really hurts. But with no link speed, I don't think he's going to actually do it any sort of speeding attack, so I guess it's not too important. It's not like the end of the world that he loses this.
Yeah. It's just kind of annoying for him because he kind of loses that threat. He wanted to keep that Oracle alive so that Ragnarok always had to be thinking about it and just be like, okay, I have to have my Queens in position, just something extra to put your opponent at unease, you know?
Yeah. Well, with Twilight Council going down, we have the ability to get +2. He's adding up to now 5 gateways. And we could actually see a timing with Blink and +2. It's possible here. He added speed now very late, Ragnarok did. +1 and Roach speed as well. So he may be looking to get a little bit aggressive himself. He's adding a bunch of extra Overlords too. But
and
without that
Nidus.
speed, oh yeah, look at that.
Wow. Wonder what he's going to do with that. I mean, he's getting the Roach speed and he's getting all those Overlords like you were saying. Is he just going to try to go for the main before like Deer really ramps up here?
Well, that's a possibility. I think the more likely thing he's going to do, although I guess there's nothing to scout here, what I thought he was going to do is to just make it over near where these Lings or where this Overlord is and just make Roaches so they can reinforce right to that 3rd base. But I suppose if there's nothing in the main and he's able to scout that, that might be the better choice. But Nidus is scouted, so he's definitely going to place some pylons on the edges of his base. Assuming he saw that. Okay.
You were right, though. He's just going to take away that long rush distance and just use this as kind of like a forward pylon almost.
Yeah. And the other thing, too, is while this is happening, he can start a second Nidus in the main, which Deer will be unlikely to notice. Oh, can he target it in time? He targets it. And Queens come out, but
and nice transfuses are going to keep it alive, and the Queens are going to shoot down that Void Ray as well as the Roaches come out.
Uh-oh, this is a big problem with no Void Ray here. It's going to be really tough to make work. He does pop back in, though, because there's a second Nidus in the main base. That pylon a bit too late here, and here comes so much anti-air with these Queens, and also the Roaches.
God. All of those probes going down as they walk by, every single one of them except like 2. The Nexus cannon does go down, but...
The other thing to consider is he didn't even kill the Nidus over at the 3rd base, so he could actually, after he kills his Nexus, just leave and come out of the 3rd base. In fact, he's going out right now. You can see on the mini-map with some of his units from his main base. Yep. A lot of cannons here, so he's probably going to want to regroup a little bit. But he can actually just go down here and kill the natural, maybe.
It's definitely possible. He's got so many Queens. He's just trying to throw everything into that thing after he just killed the Nexus. He's going to put them all into the Nidus network after he killed the Nexus.
Yep, and now he's just going to come over here with this many Roaches. He should be able to zone the units out from the natural and start picking off the Nexus from the left side where there are no cannons.
Yeah, +2 is not done yet. Blink is not done yet either. It's about to finish, but not quite yet.
Got to be careful because that's actually a lot of Stalkers. Makes another Nidus here so he can reinforce a little bit faster and also get some more creep spread. That Void Ray was definitely not getting anything done. And actually, he loses both Nidus networks. He still has vision, so he can queue up another one as soon as he has enough gas. He's trading fairly well here against the Protoss army. There's only Queens left, but Queens are actually pretty good when they're all transfusing each other.
Yeah. Blink is now done as well as +2, so I feel like eventually this will be cleaned up. Just got to target a little bit better. And with one more Warp in and no more Niduses, he should be okay.
He's missing quite a few transfuses there at the end as well. I think he was working on getting that 4th base up back at home and maybe getting those injects back at home as well. But this is what I was worried about because now, I mean, yeah, he doesn't have a 3rd base, or he doesn't have a main base, whichever way you want to call it. But that was a huge investment. He does have a Spire follow-up. There are a few Stalkers out plus Blink. 6 sentries to be made. That's an interesting choice. I suppose he's expecting another straight-up follow-up the same way. 5 mutas. This is an interesting choice. We'll see how well this works out. These Stalkers way ahead of themselves out there.
I guess he just wanted to check the front and see kind of what Ragnarok has, because with those Blink Stalkers, you can always just blink away.
Yeah. Picking off that Overlord would be nice to the top right, so there can't be any more Niduses there, but I think it's on high ground vision, so he needs an observer to do that, so probably not going to happen. Plus, he doesn't know that it's there anyways, so. Oh, it just barely misses the mutas here. That's so critical. Wow. He's still making more stalkers at home. I don't think these mutas are going to give him a massive amount of trouble. But he's going to have to multitask between defending the mutas in the main and this roach attack that's going to hit him in the third. It's actually going right to the natural here. Stalkers blink over. That's exactly what the roaches want.
Yeah, just going to regroup here on the high ground and probably maybe go into the main, try to pick off some stuff, bring those stalkers back and attack at the front at the same time. Nice force fields here are going to cut off all of those lings, so that's really going to take away from that attack. Nice blinks here as well.
Yeah, I feel like those lings could have actually fought a little bit on the other side of his force fields, but he was clearly looking at the mutalists, microing those instead. Now his roaches don't really have that much use. And Deer it's possible to recover from this with the third base back up and running with 56 probes. And the Zerg's taking somewhat of an awkward place with not enough mutalisks to end the game. Somewhat expensive, but he will get those gases up. Once he gets the 7th and 8th gases up, that's when he's going to be able to make a ton of mutas. He's already got 11 out. And there's no Stargate tech. There are 3 Immortals, which are great against the Roaches, but the Roaches are pretty much done in this game. I don't think he's going to really make any more of those. Now he starts to add the Stargates.
Yeah. Those 5th and 6th gases getting up, or the 7th and 8th rather.
Yeah, for some reason I always like get confused on like how many of those are. I'm bad with numbers, but yeah, 7th and 8th.
That's going to be a ton of gases. Could also possibly, like, he has so much map control at this point. If he had some time, maybe take the base over to the right or even the one in the middle, because he's got Deer pretty much back in his base right now for a while. I mean, of course, an imminent attack is always something you got to be scared about with Protoss because they can split across the map, but.
Yeah, I mean, especially when the Phoenixes start coming out. And now he scouted that. That was a cool scout there. It's expensive, but I mean, it's definitely going to be worth it. So now he's going to have to decide whether he wants to go full air, start making some Corruptors. I guess he decides to go for Hydras and some Corruptors. Hydra muta Corruptor is pretty good when there are no Colossi on the map. And so far, that's he's able to see that there are none on the map. There is one queued right now, but he hasn't scouted anything like that yet. So for him, this is a pretty smart choice. Plus, the Corruptors are multifaceted in that they can help deal with the Colossi as well.
Yeah. If you get rid of all the Colossi, the Hydras in the ground, as well as all of that muta support, and all of those Lings and Roaches that he has left over, are going to be so good. He's actually just going to go for an attack, but nice force fields once again are going to push him back for now.
Yeah. Choosing to make all those sentries earlier for Deer has really ended up paying off for him quite a bit against these Lings in particular. A ton of spines going up because he knows that like once that Protoss hits max, if he can't take a 4th base, he's probably just going to move across the map. And the spines are going to help him win a base trade if that's what it comes to. So many Phoenixes out right now. So many that even the Corruptors are going to have a decent amount of trouble dealing with them. There's just not enough Corruptors yet.
Yeah. He's got to wait for those 3 to pop out. He's also getting the +2 to air upgrades. I'm not sure where the air upgrades are for Deer at this moment, but
I think they're just at 0. I don't think he has any, as far as I can tell. We don't have the production tab of always. You know, I mean, he's making 8 more spines. He's actually going to have, like, a ton of spines, to put it in simple terms.
Yeah, and this is a nice counterattack. This is going to draw, it looks like, at least for now, just the Phoenixes. And there's still this attack coming in at the front. He blinks onto all of those spine crawlers as well as those mutas in there. He's really, really confident in this.
He's got a lot of blink stalkers, and they're about to have +3. They don't quite have +3 yet. The Lings over here stop targeting the Nexus, and we'll actually kill the cannons, and we'll eventually kill that Nexus. There's like no probes over there anymore. Nidus goes down over here as well. Yeah, this is basically becoming a full-on elimination race here. He does have a recall available as well, don't forget, so can bounce back home whenever he wants. Not if there are no Nexi to bounce back to, but this Nexus looks like it will live as well. It's actually really hard to say. I don't know. That hatch goes out in the natural. Ultra's Cavern has started.
And where are the Mutalisks right now? I think they're flying over there towards the left side of the map. And they're not even really going for that base trade kind of situation. He's just kind of flying back and forth, being a little bit indecisive.
He wants to catch these Phoenixes. If he can catch them and fight them with the Corruptors, he's going to be in good shape. But he's got to make sure his Corruptors are at the front. This is not a fight he wants to take right now, especially with how many Stalkers there are on the map. This is actually looking terrible for Ragnarok. A game that he had almost won by a Nidus. He just really struggled to transition out of that, and Deer is just crushing him here now.
Yeah.
We've had some crazy back and forth games this season, man. I'm really liking it.
We really have. I mean, he's got the mutas back now, but it's not enough. GG.
Wow, what
Deer's
a
got way too much.
Crazy game there. I mean, talking about 4 base against 2 base, Deer just holds strong. His micros force fields are so good. a few critical micro mistakes where Ragnarok was trying to attack with his Mutalisk and like lost all of his Zerglings and lost that potential to harass on third base. That allowed Deer to sit comfortably on 3 bases long enough to get enough Phoenixes to deal with the Mutalisk there.
Yeah.
And he just kept on Mutalisk even after he saw the Phoenixes.
Yeah. Like you said, he just struggled to transition out of that Nidus, and even though he was preparing for that base trade kind of situation, he never really fully committed, and he was kind of trying to catch the Phoenixes in the meantime, and it was well defended after that third Nexus went down, so there wasn't really much Ragnarok could do on the offensive side either.
Well, Merry-Go-Round is actually going to be the map choice here. I was actually really expecting to see Overgrowth.
Yeah.
I wonder what the plan is here with this one. I mean, Merry-Go-Round's a map where, you know, it's not bad for Zerg. There's a lot of open attack patterns and whatnot, but Protoss is pretty happy with the rush distances overall. It's kind of easy to walk across the map and do punishing attacks, kind of like what we saw Deer do in the last game. Yeah. Except, you know, in the last game, it's a huge rush distance. Think about how much smaller Merry-Go-Round is than a 3-player map. That's, you know, equidistant, but the distances on each one of those points is so much smaller.
Yeah. We saw Ragnarok go aggressive with the Nidus in the last game. Maybe he'll go aggressive once again. Yeah,
definitely possible. You know, he's a very aggressive Zerg. He crushed his Code A group last season, and he totally annihilated it. Had a tough time in Code S, but he looked really, really strong in his EVZs in particular. Unfortunately, this is not that matchup for him right now. The map is loading right now. These two players appear to be ready. It's time for game number 2. Can Ragnarok tie it up, or is Deer going to close out the series 2-0 and go straight into the winner's match? This is the GSL Code A. The map is loaded. I'm Wolf. With me is Brandon Valdez. Let's jump into the game.